Welcome to the garden. Today I'm going to be moving this entire hosta, and it's a little bit more complicated than it might look. There are actually cables and things too running through the garden, and it's why we have so many pots. A lot of these are just because we can't really dig in the ground. There's a cable running through here. We really have to be careful with stuff like this. But by saturating that soil, really soaking it with water, we're going to really loosen it up. I can see that soil is nice and saturated, and we're kind of turning it into mud, which is exactly what we want. So if I can just grab the entire plant, we should hopefully be able to just pull it out. I think super saturating that soil is really going to help soften the roots up a bit. Okay, we're getting close. That line is running right underneath the plant. So it's a really good thing we didn't get a larger shovel. Now you notice I divided it. It was just a natural break. We actually got a whole bunch of different plants. This is just what I wanted to do after we pulled the plant out. So we just kind of skipped a step and pulled it out in chunks. And this clump could probably be split again. There are natural divides like this. And you should be able to pull them apart or cut them with a nice sharp shovel, and then we can plant these out and they'll help fill in other parts of the garden. The hostas are going to go out here with all these other hostas. I think these are the same variety, so they'll probably look a little bit thinner than they did in full sun. But hostas actually tolerate and prefer a little bit of shade. So right here under these oaks, I've already prepped 3 spots, so we can kind of split these up a little bit further, down into at least 3 nice clusters. So we'll pick this one back here. We'll dig that in a minute. And then this really big one might actually be able to split in half. So let's take a look. If we could get 2 large clusters out of this, then we can actually break off other small stuff like this. Ooh, look at that one. That's adorable. Oh, that is so cool. So yeah, I want to save these and try and plant them all over the place. See if we can really fill in the garden this year. I love how it looks when you can't even see the ground. There's just so many hostas, or ferns, or any plant really. It's really pleasing. Makes me feel like I'm in the woods. So right now I'm just using my hands, but if you wanted to speed this up, you could get a shovel and just literally cut right through as hard as you can. They're soft enough where you can slice through them. I want to keep them a little bit more intact. Not really worried about any breakage. These will all heal over in time. And damaging the leaves, not a big deal. They can rebound even quicker. And I want to split this again. So this is actually a really nice cluster now. Decent size. We can pop that back there. Wow, that fills in immediately. That's beautiful. And then we can pair these together. I want to face these new growth towards the sun, just to help them out as much as possible. So you can see these ones are actually getting a little bit of dappled sun right now. So they should grow up nice and quick. This is beautiful. Look at how we filled in this area. I don't want those roots to be bent too much, so by twisting them just a little bit, we can kind of wind them and wrap them into the hole. But I think this looks really nice. They just fit. So now we'll just bury them up to about the same depth that they were. Now as we water, it'll settle all that soil down amongst those roots. Perfect. So we can just mulch back around. This is just dried leaves and sticks and a couple wood chips, but mostly just dried oak leaves. These create a really nice natural mulch. That'll keep them moist so we don't have to water quite as often. I cleaned up one of these little roots so we can really take a close look. They're really interesting. They're incredibly hardy. This actually doesn't have any roots, but as long as we plant it out in soil, right about to those little fuzzy parts, these should get enough light so that they can start growing, and hopefully little roots will start forming out of this little rhizome. You can already maybe see one right there. So we'll definitely plant these out, and we can kind of cluster them together so they fill in. We've got a couple of weird ones. This one really doesn't have much of a rhizome, but it does have a few roots, and it's got a lot of leaves, so we'll try planting that. There's one with really no root at all, but we can still try planting this out and see if it'll sprout. Then we've got a couple of broken ones. These will probably do just fine. They're going to rebound. I can already see new leaf growth here. So these will recover really quickly. So we'll cluster those together too. And then finally we actually have another decent sized one. So this will fill in a really large empty area. Like right over here. This spot is just perfect. I'm going to plant some of these smaller ones right here in this really sunny but empty spot. It really looks like it belongs here. So this is perfect. I'm just going to plant the rest of these pretty close together. So I'm going to just completely mulch over that one. We'll mulch around the ones with leaves so that they can just get a little bit of light there. Just like that. The new plants are going to be a beautiful contrast to these other hostas with the white trim. So we've got a nice one here. This one's great too. These ones will actually fill in pretty quick. Then we have the three largest ones. This one I think is the best. It's just the biggest. It's really nice and full. So we'll make sure we give all of these a real nice healthy drink. I managed to sneak one little one in right here. We'll give that guy a little drink. I planted one here that didn't have any growth on it. No leaves or stems, just roots. But that'll probably pop up in about a month. And then we have our smallest ones over here. But that's a wonderful addition to this little hosta garden. So if you have any plants in similar situations, make sure to soak that soil so it's real nice and muddy. That way the roots will just slide right out. So I hope you give this a grow in your garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.